Alrighty, Bobby.
All right.
Let's do this. So what do you think of the car?
Love it. Subaru hatchback, 4-door.
This is the
Old school.
This is the exact same thing you drive, isn't it?
But I did have a friend in college who had one.
Nice. You can fit a lot of people. You can fit a lot of college kids in this.
That's the whole thing. The more people you get in the car, the more money. Everybody's got to pitch in on the gas.
That's true. That's true. So this is actually my father-in-law's car. Mine's in for an oil change today. So, do you change your oil, by the way?
No way.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that's a whole nother level of manhood, you know, that I haven't really reached yet. Fatherhood's one level, but changing your own oil, that ain't me.
You got to be into that sort of thing, you know?
But yeah, so his speedometer doesn't work anymore. It was kind of sporadic. It's working right now, but half the time it will not work. It'll just be on 0. I swear to God, during this trip, you look over, we'll be doing 0. So if we get pulled over, you tell the cop, you know, it just broke.
Gotcha.
Because that's my story. I didn't know how fast I was going. It was on 0.
I didn't. I just got in the car, officer.
What are you driving these days, or what did you drive in college?
I drove
story.
in college. I had a Honda Accord. I was just talking to some of the guys about that. Gas mileage was unreal. I mean, I had to make a couple of trips from Pennsylvania to South Carolina, so I learned about fuel economy pretty fast, trying to pinch pennies and get home. Honda Accord 4-door LX, I loved it, man. Nice car.
How many miles did you put on it?
Fit a lot of college guys in that one too. I probably got it over 150.
Okay.
160.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, you played your ball at Penn State, proud Nittany Lion.
Yeah.
You and Urschel, you got a connection?
Oh yeah, man. I think that when you go to Penn State, Alabama, Florida State, Clemson, you name it, all of the top programs, SC, there's a certain level of camaraderie and family and brotherhood whenever you go through a program like that. And I'm sure it's like that at many schools, but Penn State was pretty special. You know, still talk to a lot of the guys that I played with during my time there, and it's just pretty cool to see guys grow up, have families, all of the things that we just talked about. Right. So you see guys come in, you play 4 years in college, and then you keep in touch, and then 20 years later, guys have got kids and families and have grown tremendously, so it's pretty cool.
That is cool. So you won the first award, like college wide receiver award, right? For the best wide receiver. Blitnikoff, is that right?
Yeah, the Blitnikoff.
You were the first one.
First one.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
what was that like?
It was a great experience. I mean, you know, to be the first at anything like that is pretty humbling, pretty amazing, because you talk about being the best at anything, especially in college football. I was in '94. We went undefeated, went to the Rose Bowl, had a lot of good football players around me. So it just allowed me to do my thing one-on-one.
What'd your numbers look like that year? I know you remember.
I mean, I know somewhat. 60 some odd catches, just over 1,000. Probably a couple, you know, double-digit touchdowns.
Right.
I have to go back and check. It's been a while now. I don't.
You don't have that in your back pocket, all your stats. I figure like every wide receiver who played in the league, you know, they got that on lock.
To a certain extent, but that was many moons ago.
So then you came out in the '96 draft, and they say that that's like the best wide receiver draft ever. I mean, it was like Keyshawn Johnson. Was he the number 1 pick?
I think he was number 1 overall.
Right. They had Eric Moles was in that
Eric
draft.
Moles was in that.
Who else was in that group?
Wow, Eddie Kennison.
Eddie Kennison was in that group.
Amani Toomer was in that group.
Right.
T.O.
Can't forget T.O.
Right, Derek Mays. So, yeah, I mean, it was deep. It was a deep class. And the thing that was impressive is that a high percentage of those guys played a long time.
Right.
So it wasn't just the amount of talent in terms of just the number of guys, but it was the longevity that impressed me that guys was able to play with.
Right. And so my question is, why didn't the Ravens pick you? I mean, can you imagine J.O., Ray, and then Bobby Engram? Now that's a fearsome trio right there.
Yeah, it'd been like 2 Hall of Famers. Oh yeah, and we got this Engram guy. That's a great question, man, but I would have loved to play for the Ravens.
Hell yeah, man. That would have been pretty nice.
Yeah.
First draft in team history.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty sick.
'96, but I was fortunate. You know, I had a great experience in Chicago in terms of getting introduced to pro football, and things didn't quite go the way I wanted them to on the field, but it was a great learning experience. Tremendous city,
Right.
unbelievable fan base, and then I was able to move on and go to Seattle,
Right.
And stay there for quite a while. And again, had a great team. And to me, that's why I love this game. People talk about it all the time, but it really is the ultimate team sport.
Right.
And you see those guys that you were in the huddle with, and that you basically you grew up with, and you learned from, and you spent a lot of time around. Those moments, that's the stuff that you can't put into words. It's just you were there, you did it. It was a special time in your life.
Oh, here we go. All right, you know what you're gonna order here?
Yeah, pretty much black coffee.
Dude, see, that's the same thing that Marty got. You guys don't mix it up at all. It's just straight black coffee every time.
Oh man, wherever I go is black coffee, couple of sugars.
Couple of sugars. All right.
Sugars,
All right. I'm gonna mix it up and go chocolate hazelnut. I kind of regretted not getting that earlier.
See, I've never done the flavored coffee.
You've never had flavored coffee?
No, I don't even use cream.
Wow. Can I get a small premium roast coffee, just black with 2 sugars? So you went to Seattle, and then you played in the Super Bowl 2005.
Yep.
Against the Steelers, and this is where your hatred of the Steelers must have really began. This kind of prepped you for your Ravens coaching career.
That's probably where it intensified. It was a little. It was already underlying for reasons we won't discuss.
Okay, all right. Well, that actually sounds like a good story. At the end of the ride, maybe we'll get to that. But I mean that was a crazy Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was. What an experience. I mean, just to be able to play in a Super Bowl. I talk to guys all the time, and guys that phenomenal players but never got a chance to play in the game. Obviously, you want to get there and win the game.
Right.
That to me is the ultimate. But it was a great experience.
Right. Do you still have resentment lingering from that? Would you say?
No. I mean, it is what it is, man. I don't live my life looking in the rear view. I just keep it moving forward.
Smart. Keep your eyes on the road.
That's right.
So they say. I look back at the stats from that. Like, what's crazy is, like, Ben did not have a good game that day.
At all.
At all. Like, you talk about, and Ben's a great quarterback. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's won 2 Super Bowls, but
he was young too, right?
I think he was a rookie.
Yeah, rookie second year.
And you're like, the Steelers won that Super Bowl, but Ben did not have a good day that day.
Yeah. More importantly, I don't think we played up to our standard.
Yeah.
We had some funky calls in the game, but we just didn't make the plays that we normally made. We didn't do enough to go take that game from them.
Yeah. You had a good day. Your stats were good though.
Yeah.
You had a nice day.
We lost.
So you're coaching Steve Smith, right? When we signed him in 2014, you're coaching him. What goes through your head with him? Because Steve's got a strong-headed dude.
Right.
What goes through your head when you're going to be coaching him, and then you got to share a good Steve story with me too.
All right. The first thing, when you get a guy like Steve, who, he was coming to us. He was a decorated veteran at this time, and I played against Steve. I knew Steve. I didn't know him really well, but I knew him.
Right.
And more importantly, you knew of him.
Right.
So you hear the stories. Everybody has some opinions. So my main thing was get to know the man for myself personally.
Right.
And we had a similar connection with Ricky Prohl. Ricky and Steve played together. Ricky coached him. I played with Ricky early in my career in Chicago. I kept in touch with him over the years. So I called him up. Like, what's the deal?
How should I handle this dude?
Not necessarily that, but like, what's up? I wasn't, But then Steve came in for the free agent visit, and we must have sat and talked for an hour and a half.
Wow.
And from that point on, I knew everything was going to be okay.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying it was simple or it was easy all the times on my part or his part.
Right.
But we had a great working relationship, and I believe we struck up a friendship that's going to last far beyond football.
Right. What was a funny story, or what was the toughest time with Steve, or anything like that?
Any day in the meeting room.
Did he just call you out on everything?
He called everybody out. It was nobody that was exempt. Maybe a couple guys in the building, but outside of them. But you know what? It's just who he is his personality, his competitive nature. And the thing, I grew a lot by coaching him.
Yeah.
In terms he wanted extra film. He wanted to do the drills.
Right.
He wanted to know his opponent inside out. So as a coach, it forced me to make sure I was on point, you
Right.
know. And you could show him the 4 or 5 game cut up, but he wanted to see stuff on the guy that nobody else knew. So I
Right.
would just watch extra film with him. He would come in afterwards. We spend extra time. He would come out early and do drills. So, I mean, one of the hardest workers I've been around, one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around. And, you know, honestly, he drove me to be a better coach.
All right, so what was the craziest thing he ever did? You got to give me one story.
Craziest thing he ever did?
Or funniest or something like that. You got to have some Steve stories.
I got lots of Steve stories.
You know, we're in the safety of the car.
Yeah.
You know, the car is sacred. You
Yeah.
can share whatever Steve story you
Never
have.
mind everybody that's gonna be seeing it.
No,
The
car-
millions
it's
of
just-
viewers.
There's no cameras in here or anything, Bobby. Don't worry
No,
about it.
I'm just trying to think of something that people
We don't get
know
millions
about.
of viewers, by the way. I wish we
I'm
had
trying to
millions
find
of viewers.
millions
I
of
appreciate it.
viewers.
I appreciate it.
No, I think for me, the story was one time, you know, he just got pissed at practice,
Uh-huh.
pretty much at everybody. And he went off to the side and took a knee. And it was funny because every coach took their turn going over one by one. Hey, Steve, you know, and he would have a few choice words for that coach, and you would see him turn and walk away. So,
Were you the first coach to go over, or you're like, I'm going to let some other guys take a crack at it first?
I let a couple guys go over first. Then it was kind of funny. I said, let me see if I can make a difference, and to no avail. But that's who he was.
Uh-huh.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
You know, you take the entire person, you take the entire man, you take the entire player, and that's a little piece of who Steve was as a competitor.
Right.
But people really should get to know so much more about him off the field and everything that he's doing
got a
away
lot of
from the
depth.
field.
Yeah. So another guy, you know, Steve retires, so now the guy you got to really coach up is Perryman, among all the guys.
Right.
But Brashad is, you know, a first round pick and all that.
Yep.
How much do you feel like, all right, man, I got to get this dude balling?
Yeah. Absolutely. As a coach, that's my job. And all you need is somebody that's willing to work. That's check. Somebody who's got the talent. That's another check.
Right.
You know, somebody that is willing to do everything to be the best that he can possibly be. You know, so when you got somebody, and Brashad is a check on all of those. Now it's just let's go to work and get it done.
Right.
And I was proud of him last year. You know, the numbers might not have been that gaudy,
Right.
but I think he had a really solid, which essentially was his rookie season.
Right.
You know, we got to get him more consistent. We got to get him doing this and that, other things better. We can go into detail here, but the thing is, I thought he progressively got better as the season went on. If you watch the tape, and part of that was adjusting to the speed of the game. You know, part of it was figuring out what he could and couldn't do week in and week out versus the opponent. But he's a quick learner, both physically and mentally, and that's going to help him big time this year.
Right. I just like the way you get him on these shallow crossers, man.
Yeah.
You get the ball in his hands.
Yeah. Speed. I mean, he made a big play in the first time he stepped on the field versus Buffalo.
That play was
You know,
nice.
yeah.
Let's see if I can remember my passcode here, Bobby. Oh, there we
you
go.
go.
There we go. They must have
They know you-
recognized you.
they know you
No,
around.
that
They
way
know
on to
you
me. They
around.
saw, the passenger seat. All right, there's Bobby. All right, we'll let him in, I guess. But nice. All right, well, we didn't get pulled over. Didn't have to break out the speedometer excuse for the cops. Successful trip.
You know, ignorance is no excuse, right? For breaking the law.
I use that excuse a lot in all facets with my wife. Ignorance. Come on now, you know that one.
Does it work at home?
Usually not.
Okay.
Usually not. Well,
Yeah.
if she is convinced that you're a bonehead,
Right.
then eventually it starts to work.
I guess.
Bobby, thank you, sir.
All right,
Appreciate
Ryan.
it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for the coffee.
Of course,
All
of
right.
course. I think it definitely burnt the roof of my mouth on this.